Hey there, guys and gals, and today I thought I'd make another reviews of 2019, and this time it's on the film Abominable, and we're just gonna move real quick. All right, hey, so we've moved into a location which I said that we were gonna move in, and this camera is about at the height of my head, but I want a bit of my torso in. So, we're doing a review of the film Abominable. So, what is this film about? Well, it's basically about a teenage girl named Yi who encounters a young Yeti on the roof of her apartment building in Shanghai. And she names him Everest and embarks on an epic quest to reunite the magical creature with his family at the highest point on Earth, along with her mischievous friends, Jin and Peng. But the trio of friends will have to stay one step ahead of Burnish, a wealthy man intent on capturing a Yeti, and zoologist Dr. Zara to help Everest get home. So yeah, that's the plot summary on Wikipedia. And at first when I saw this film, I thought it looked pretty cool, but at the same time I thought it was like going to be another one of those like small foot films. The small foot film. There was an animated film called Small Foot. You've probably heard of it or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought it was just gonna be that, but it turned out to be really good. It turned out to be pretty enjoyable, especially for a DreamWorks film. And that's another thing that caught my eye was that despite the fact that it's a DreamWorks film, it was a bit different. It felt like it didn't feel like a DreamWorks film to me, despite the fact that it has the DreamWorks name. It didn't feel like a DreamWorks film to me. And this is a film that I saw back when I was during my beach holiday or something. And I was actually gonna, see it back when, we get back to Canberra and stuff, but there was just no free day that we could see the film, so we had to see it while we were at the beach. And was it good? Hell yeah, it was definitely good. I think the animation was bright and colorful. May have looked a bit cheap. May have looked a little cheap and stuff, but I mean, but then again, 3D animated films have become so cheap nowadays because they've literally become the most overused film format for animation. And I think the characters are also pretty great. I think Abominable is a pretty. I think Yeti, Everest. That's his name. Why can't you remember? It's Everest. Oh my god. Um, yeah, Everest I think is a really great comic relief. If he's just such a happy Yeti that's trying to get back to his home, and I think that's pretty cool. I think the other two characters, let's see, Jin and Peng are pretty cool. I think they're pretty cool as well. Definitely enjoyable. They definitely have their good moments. In fact, when I saw that film in the theaters, when I saw it, there were a bunch of like grandmas with their grandchildren and stuff that wanted to see this film. So, yeah, that's interesting to know. And and I also think that the twist, I think the twist on zoologist Dr. Zara being the bad guy instead of Burnish is pretty interesting, because I was thinking Burnish could be like the villain of the story because he was acting pretty antagonist throughout the story up until he sees Yeti again. And also another thing that I found interesting, another thing that just made me realize while I'm recording this is that Burnish reminds me a lot of the enemy, the bad guy in Up. He reminds me a lot of that character. Um, and not because they're old, but they're both after this like character. But while Burnish is pretty redeemable, the old guy in Up is not redeemable at all. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting comparison if you think about it. What else? I also think and also the fact that Yi, is that her name? Let's see. Yeah, Yi. Yeah, Yi. Is a violin player. A violin player is pretty interesting. I like how out of all the instruments they could have chosen her to play for this film, it's a violin. And also another thing that I noticed throughout the entire film was that they kept using string sections. They kept using like string sections throughout their soundtrack. Like if you listen closely to the soundtrack of the film, if when you're watching it, there are a lot of these string sections in it. And that's what always got my notice was that it was legit was all about string sections. It always had like a string section in the background, and that made sense because Yi was a violin player. um, I also like how magical the violin gets once it gets like a touch of like the Yeti's hair added as like the replacement for the strings, because at one point in the film, the violin breaks and she has a breakdown because that violin belonged to her dad and stuff. And but once it got fixed by Everest, this by using his Yeti hairs, it gets all magical and it gets pretty godlike. It legit gets pretty godlike. Because she starts playing like a few notes on the violin, and all of a sudden she's creating flowers and life on this like statue, which I think is it's a really cool scene. And I gotta say it's one of my favorite scenes because it's visually amazing and it's also executed so great. That's what I love about that scene. This is also DreamWorks' last film that they're having with a collaboration studio called Pearl Studio. Yeah, Pearl Studio. Pearl Studio made this film. And I also like how, and I actually thought throughout the film that Burnish was going to be like the bad guy, but no, the twist. I guess the twist might have been a bit predictable for the adults, for the critics, for the adult critics who review the stuff. But for me, it kind of surprised me. And I also like how when she played the violin, it like healed the Yeti because it like used like the Yeti hair. I think I'm pretty sure. Another thing I was gonna say that I forgot for a bit was that what else? There's a grandma and a mother in the film. They appear in like the first part of the film and stuff, and then they just disappear. Like they legit just disappear throughout the entire film, and then they reappear again and throughout at the end of the film, which is another thing I've noticed. And I think the story is also really great, and I overall enjoyed it. Oh, and the opening is like really dramatic. It starts off with like the point of view of Everest, and he's just going in there, and all the people are just trying to stop him, and he like breaks like the fence. He breaks like the fence. He breaks like the fence of the electrical fence that was protecting him in this base and stuff. Which I thought which was a very cool opening to this film. And then he bumps and the Everest bumps into Yi, and then he gets on this boat, and Yi decides to get on the boat, and so do um Ji Jin and Peng. They also get on the boat and join the journey as well. And actually, I thought for a second that one of them, I've forgotten who the characters were because it has been a bit since I've seen the film. Actually, you know what? I'll do it right now. I'll see who it was. Yeah, Jin. I thought the character Jin was gonna turn into a villain because at one point he's in the scene with the baddies, and I thought he was gonna turn into a villain and turn his back against them. But then we find out later on that he realizes what Zara is doing, and he escapes in a scene where he's literally using a phone and he's going like this. He's going like that, and he's just going in complete circles. There's also a scene where they like hide in like cans of like soda, and Everest and Peng start like drinking the soda, and they end up having to go to the pee. They have to pee, and they end up breaking out like the crate, and they end up breaking out of the truck, and they end up falling down the hill, and they end up having to go, and they end up going into they end up doing their business, and There's also a scene where they just expend a bunch of blueberries, and Jin ends up getting a set of 2 blueberries in his pants. And it's quoting, "I've got blueberries in places where blueberries shouldn't be," or something along the lines of that. But I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say about the film. I think it's a pretty good film. It's a solid DreamWorks film. So yeah, make sure hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that like button, and make sure that subscribe button. Tap the little bell to be notified every single time it uploads, every single time I upload. And overall, I'm gonna give this film a good old B. Bye now.